What's up guys, Xierdan here, and today I'm uploading a very different video from most of my usual content, but I have done videos like this in the past. I still have some tutorial playlists up on the channel, so some of those are still relevant, so if you want to see more videos like this, you can go look at those. Also let me know if you want to see any specific sort of videos like this in the future, and like what kind of topic you'd like it to focus on. I can go into more detail about certain things that we'll go over in today's video as well. But anyway, as you can see at the top of this Google Doc, these are some of the best ways to optimize your PC, whether this is a fresh build or refresher system, which is what I did, and I'm also going to give a little bit of notes, special considerations for doing that based on my experience that I just went through. I decided to do this video because when I decided to do my kind of every other year, or it's not really a set thing, but my refresh of my system, which is where I just completely wipe, go back to Windows, the default or how my PC came to me, and then go from there and tune it and optimize it. I think that's a good thing to do. I've seen plenty of people do this from time to time. It's something that I've done always. Again, not like I'm doing this all the time. This is just something you do every once in a while. So whether you're, again, building a fresh PC, or if you see this video and you're like, oh, I could do some of this stuff and wipe, my computer, it's just a little bit too much. There's so much on it. I'm going to take the time and clean it up. So whichever one you're doing, there's good information for new people as well as old people, and also for people, again, with a fresh build, or if you already have a PC. For reference, I will also put my PC part picker for my computer down below. I can show you it right now as well. What is it? Control-Shift-B? Yeah, there it is. Let me go to my computer. If it still has it, it should. Oh, this is not that. Let me find my PC part picker. So I have an Intel Core i5 6600K, 3.5, no overclock there, but I will show you some information about that if you would like to get into that. H170, blah 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 blah. This was built in 2016, and literally nothing has changed since 2016. The only thing that, with one exception, I did add a 250 gigabyte SSD because an old one died, and that was it. 970 in there. So it's $800 today, which is interesting because, for reference, my PC was $1,300 with tax when I built it in 2016. But obviously the market's very different now. Of course, this is an old PC now, but yeah, so just for reference, you could do this with older PCs and with fresh builds. I'm not sure how long this video will be, so I will try to do the kind of like chapter thing. I've never done that before on a video, but I will try to do that. I think I know how. But anyway, going back to the Google Doc, which will also be in the description. The description is going to be your friend for everything you see here, along with all these different YouTube videos that I'm going to highlight. And you can click on them here, and then just kind of do what I do and open them all up if you want to do that. I recommend you do that on a second computer or on your phone, because then you won't have to worry about, like, when you're having to restart your computer at various steps of this process. You'll just be able to carry on having it up on that second monitor or second computer, laptop, or phone, and then again, you don't have to reopen all these tabs all the time. But of course, if you save Google Doc, you can have this for the future if there's anything that you want to come back to, or if you don't get it all done in one day. It will be a pretty long process. Obviously your mileage might vary, depends on how your internet speed is and how your computer hardware is, and also your knowledge of PCs. But starting off, we'll talk about building a PC. So again, if you already have a build, you can kind of skip this, don't worry about it, and you can just go down to part 2. Also, you can just skip to the next chapter in the video. But regarding PC building itself, I've got a few different things. First and foremost, I think you should, I think I was debating on what to put first. I'm gonna go ahead and put this one as first, because I think that's something that a lot of people forget about, especially for two reasons. When they're picking their case for their PC, they don't really always pay attention to the number of case fans in there. They also don't always pay attention to then when they get all their parts, the amount of cooling that might be necessary for the parts that they've built, and how they would like to set up those or how they would like the airflow to be set up in their case. So I recommend that you start kind of here when you're picking out your parts. I'm not saying you need to start by picking out your case fans when you pick out your parts, but I'm saying that when you're actually going to build your PC, then you can start here. So this is a short video. It's obviously from TechWiki. This is an older video, but still very relevant. And obviously, this is from the Linus Media Group. They're show you just really quick and easy which direction fans flow. And again, if this is all very basic information to you, and you're not new to PC building, then again, you can skip the different parts in the video and go from there, because we do get to some advanced stuff, especially later on in the tweaks and stuff like that. But anyway, shows you which direction the airflow is, and then how you might want to set up your cooling throughout your system, where you want your exhaust, where do you want your intake. And again, very easy, some good visuals as well, and diagrams, and it's quick and short video. So then once you see that, then I think that I like this kind of setup, because what I've done here is you've got Linus doing a first-person PC build guide, and again, it's a nice long 40-minute video. So if you're again building your PC, this is going to be a great reference for you. Even if you don't have necessarily all the same parts that he does, it's still, he covers almost everything that you would ever need to be able to see from a first-person perspective. Then here from Joey Delgado, this I feel like Joey gets a little bit more into some of the tweaks later on in the video. He also shows you he shows you a little bit in the BIOS. He shows you a little bit of not necessarily overclocking, but like turning on an XMP, which you might not know what that is. Again, depends on your level of experience with computers. He also shows some games and stuff like that. So I feel like it offers two different things. Also, Joey's videos are not first person the whole time. He does a lot of things first person when he's zooming in and stuff like that, but not the whole. There's a lot of different camera angles, so I think that offers you pretty much every angle you could want when you're learning how to build a PC. So you've got two great long, about the same length almost exactly, videos, and a lot of detail there. Then moving on, both of those, these are quick fire, under 10 minutes from Optimum Tech. Some tips when you're building the PC. These are the good things that you can kind of just have written down. I thought he might have had it in there in the description, but you can see how quickly these are going through and checking for compatibility and stuff like that on PC Part Picker. So this one just has some general things, boot sharing, some things to avoid, stuff like that. Then moving on from there, we're getting into part 2, which is putting Windows on a thumb drive. So you've built the PC, and then now you're ready to kind of boot it up. Prior to booting it up, obviously you got to decide what you're doing. If you're like me and you're refreshing a system, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a USB thumb drive, and then make sure that it doesn't have anything on it. If it does, you can actually choose to wipe it at the time, but obviously you probably want to check that beforehand. But if you absolutely know that you can just delete whatever's on it, then you can go ahead and just use it, and it will tell you that it's going to wipe it. I think it recommends to have 8 or 16 gigabyte. I would just make sure you have a 16 gigabyte. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it also depends on the version of Windows and what write and read speed your USB stick has. So again, just if you have a 16 gigabyte, you'll be good. Almost every 16 gigabyte has like a higher floor for the speeds. But anyway, go to your laptop or a second computer, or you could do this before you do anything on your other build if you're doing a refresh, or go to a friend's house, and then all you're going to do is download an ISO of Windows, which you can do from a lot of these different videos, including this Pulse hardware one right here, download Windows 10. So if you want to follow again in this part 2, if you want to follow along, you've got a short video, and this is kind of the theme. Got a short video for you here with a lot of good information and good detail. Even shows you some things that you would see when you are restarting the computer, like for instance he obviously gets a camera, and so you normally wouldn't be able to use OBS to record your screen when you're on this part, but he has you know, a zoomed out camera, which you can see some of the details of when it's getting booted up and stuff like that. So I love that kind of touch on these kind of videos, because a lot of times it's just screenshots and stuff like that, and then you don't have a lot of information to go off of. Meanwhile, Paul's video is longer and also covers a lot of different things, quicker segments for each thing. And then also, again, the link for Windows 10 is down there for the ISO of Windows 10. So if you're on a PC that has Windows 10, you can make an ISO. Just make sure, and this guy here, Richard, he does remind you several times, but make sure you write down your product key somewhere, just on your phone, notes, or whatever, just so you have it when you need it in the future. For any reason. Also, if Windows doesn't activate automatically, then you have to put it in. So make sure you do that. Obviously, if you get Windows from somewhere else and put it on a boot drive, that's great too. You can do that. Also, if you get Windows from just like your PC supply shop, like Micro Center, etc., then that's fine too. You got it on the thumb drive already. You don't have to get your own thumb drive. So however you go about that, you go ahead and do that. So that is right here, these two videos here, and I even write it down here as well. And then I also remind you ways to boot into BIOS. Normally it's one of the F keys or delete key a lot of times. So there you go, you got both those. I would keep the Paul's video open, because you do have set up what things to pick. You've also, he does a really good job of showing you what you should do, like right when the computer gets onto the desktop. He does a little bit of UI tweaks, and then he shows you how to do motherboard drivers. That's great. GPU drivers, and then also setting up a secondary storage drive, because most of the time when you boot into your computer, your secondary storage drive is not going to be there. Your C drive is the only one that's going to appear, and you're going to be like, huh. But all you have to do is just go into your computer management and then disk management, and then you'll see it there then, as long as everything has been installed correctly. If you don't see it there, no worries, you just go in your BIOS, and it's also, Paul does talk about that there, and also Jay's 2 cents also talks about it here as well, more in detail. So again, got 2 videos for you there, so you guys can allocate the second drive, give it a name, make it your D drive or whatever you want to call it. So there you go. Good stuff there. And then that's pretty much it for the Paul's video. And then you got the rest of Jay's video, which talks about some different things to do when you get the PC booted up. Again, talks about Windows Update, which is then talks about getting your GeForce experience if you have NVIDIA. He also does talk about AMD, and he talks about a few other tweaks. So with the combination of Jay's and Paul, you have a lot of good information there about this part. And that's kind of like the whole thing, giving you guys a couple different reference points for each step. So depending on who you prefer to watch, maybe one person seems to explain things easier for you, then you've got 2 different options pretty much every step of the way. Jay's also talks about this, the Windows 10 Debloater. It's the first time I used it. It worked really well. You can get it right here, or you can just Google GitHub and then his name, Sicknix. You can get it. really easy to use. Once it boots and it's executable, then it just looks like this. Very easy to do. What I highly recommend you do though is customize the blacklist of it, because you might be like me, for instance. I wanted to keep the Xbox app because I have an Xbox and I use party chat on my PC a lot of times when I'm playing on my Xbox, because then I can use my nice microphone instead of, you know, a headset mic. And I can adjust the audio levels and stuff like that. Also, you might want to keep the Windows Store if you download certain Windows apps. I have a couple like Windows Store apps that I use and actually like. So just depending on what you like, go into the blacklist, and all you do is it's just a checkbox, and you get to pick what you want to keep. Otherwise, you can just do remove all bloatware, and then there are some other tweaks as well. So you can disable Cortana, which I did. I did that. I uninstalled OneDrive. I unpinned the start menu. Then once the bloatware is removed, do this one, the remove bloatware reg keys. I disabled telemetry tasks. Yeah, so I did pretty much every single thing there. I just customized about my blacklist and kept a couple things. Again, this is getting a little bit more advanced, so if you don't feel comfortable with removing things from your computer, I understand that completely. I think that you should still do this one. I will encourage you to still do this one. I think that you'll get good stuff from it, and it'll get rid of a lot of stuff that you don't really need. I would just customize the blacklist, and if you don't want to, then don't do anything else except for removing the reg keys, and maybe disabling Cortana. But then maybe you can, I wouldn't maybe do the telemetry tasks in that case. All right. There's that, the Debloater, and then we get into some just more like optimization stuff to follow up from the Debloater, which I think works hand in hand. This guy covers, it's pretty quick, it just covers some different performance things, like disabling all these silly animations and stuff like that. I do recommend you keep the show thumbnail set icons, the smooth edges, screen fonts. He says the same thing. There are a couple other ones that you might like, so if you want to choose that, like I think I did show shadows under windows, I did like that, and show window contents while dragging. I like that kind of thing, so it's just whatever you want to do. I a whole different range of things, you know, your power and sleep options, stuff like that. Some are a little bit more advanced, some things are a little more simple like that, so a little bit of help for everybody, but like things that everyone needs to do, because even if you've done it a billion times, you still have to do it since it's a fresh build or a refreshed build. Then we got another video from Jay. He's going to show you guys how to overclock your GPU. The only thing is, what was I going to say? Oh, the only thing is obviously pay attention to this video depending on your specs. For me, because my build was pretty old, I can't really give much recommendation. This is a 2060 that he's doing. I have a 970, so all I did was I boosted my core clock and my memory clock by 100, and then I did a custom fan curve all the way up to 100%. And like Jay says in this video, if you pretty much are just doing, you know, 100 extra for the core clock and memory clock, there's no problem. Like nothing's ever gonna happen there, because it's just that's a very small boost. So but obviously listen to this video if you've never done some overclocking. He does a lot of talking about your different cards too, so obviously also I would recommend you look up, just like see what other people have been doing with similar specs to your build, and then kind of go from there. But this is MSI Afterburner, I did forget to mention that, but he has that all down here as well if you need to have more information. This is Pajno. He has a lot of good videos, and he does a lot of videos about different games, so depending on what games you play, you'll watch some videos from him. I recommend. He'll help you set up the in-game settings as well as some like Windows settings for the game. But before that, he does talk about the NVIDIA control panel, and a lot of these things would be relevant to even if you didn't have the NVIDIA control panel. Pretty much any control panel, AMD has a lot of the same stuff, so you can kind of copy or look up maybe someone else that does one for AMD. But this is just CCC, or Catalyst Control Panel, and then you're just doing a lot of different settings to this sort of thing, turning off certain shaders and stuff like that, which not only help gaming performance but just help the PC performance as well. You can of course do a lot of customizing here, so you don't have to follow hand in hand with a lot of what he's covering. That's that there. Then he has another video which is going to use well, you can use SG TCP optimizer. Yeah, this is what you use. Trying to think websites and see different things, but what this website is going to do, and then what this software is going to use is it's going to help improve your internet speed and also improve your internet stability and consistency. To follow along, it is a little bit of a longer video. It's only 13 minutes long, but by this all happens, this does take a little bit of time, especially when you get the actually maybe this is it. Once you get to the Ronnie situation, it does take time. You get here from the name bench. This does a bit of time here. Once you start the benchmark, as he says, it can take up to an hour, so maybe at this time you go grab some food or whatever. But it is a good very good idea. It helped me a lot, actually. I was able to get basically from like a consistent like 60-70 ms ping latency. Now sometimes it would be lower depending on the day, maybe I'd even drop down to 40s, but now I'm at like a consistent consistent like 30 to 40. So that's almost halving having my ping. So very cool, very useful. I had never done this one before either. But he has a few different things that you do here, and I recommend also you take a screenshot or download this page, which you'll be able to when you have your own. Sorry, not his, but you'll be able to download this, and then you'll be able to save it for later, because it'll have some different recommendations, and also just so you know, the primary and secondary servers, in case you need to input it on something else. Technically you could input it on a Xbox and stuff like that, but I actually found that the Xbox, because of the way they work and the way that like your ISP will handle an Xbox versus your computer, it wasn't actually the fastest for my Xbox, even though it was for my PC. But you can give it a try for sure. I did try it, and it didn't make too much of a difference. I did have to find like other resources for that. But that's pretty much it there. And now we're at the very bottom here, and this is for Apex, because I've been playing Apex. But again, this is from Pagno. You can look up, he has different videos on a lot of different games, or obviously if it's a different sort of game that isn't covered, just look it up. I'm sure someone has done some kind of recommendations on settings and tweaks. A lot of it is for pretty much any game. It's going into the properties, disabling certain like optimizations, or putting on run this as administrator or compatibility mode. It's just certain games have little things and like goofy things that end up being like way better. The DPI settings, like I know in Apex he ends up going in and changing, like there's some others as well. Goes into some different things. I didn't do a lot of these like advanced tweaks that he's talking about, but again, if you would like to, you can. I just found that it was a little bit too much, and I didn't notice like it was crazy impacts, but again, if you want to and you feel comfortable doing these things, and this goes for a lot of different things in the video, then go ahead and do them. But I pretty much at every step of the way, like especially when you got to like these different like these large page files and stuff like that, I looked up and I saw like if people recommended it as well. I like Pagno, I trust him, and I think you guys you know, his stuff is very good quality. I'm just saying that, like, there are obviously always going to be certain things that are going to be more effective and more consistently effective for more people. And also there's certain things that have diminishing returns, diminishing gains. So again, you don't have to do every single thing that you've seen in this video, and then in all these videos. But I think if you take the time and go through all the ones, and maybe even others that you might have heard of or have done before, and then just kind of combine and pick the best of the bunch of things that you'd like to do, I think that as a result you'll get a lot of positivity and a lot of you know, extra performance. Personally, I wanted to talk about this for a bit. Personally, I went from, now all of this is not because of what I did, of course a lot of it could be to do with like for instance the overclocking. My PC was not overclocked, so it might, how much of that is the tweaks, how much of that is the overclock, how much of it is it just being on a refreshed build that just doesn't have as much crap on the computer. But what I will say is, I know for a fact, and I can say with confidence, that it was not just my computer having a bunch of stuff on it, because I'm someone that has always kept my computer very clean. I very rarely, like for instance, this doesn't always tell the whole story, but I have a 1 terabyte hard drive. I very rarely have over 300 gigabytes taken up in my boot drive, and then also in my boot drive I rarely have, and I can show you right now. Let me open up another window. Right now in my boot drive I just have you know, 189 free of 237, and there's pretty much nothing in here, because I make sure that I download things and put them not on my boot drive. And then on my main drive, you know, I've taken up about, you know, 200 gigabytes, and again, I organize everything. This is all that's on there. I keep it all in one folder, pretty much. So my computer already was very clean. It obviously didn't have like the optimization stuff at all, so I think that it did make a big difference. I'll talk about some of the numbers. On Apex I was going from about 60 frames, and also I was about 60 to 70 ping or ms latency, and so again I was going from like about 60 to 70 fps and about 60 to 70 ping. Kind of funny how that lined up. On very low, pretty much the lowest settings you can put on, and now I'm able to get same settings because I just care about frames, and also my computer is so old and it wasn't even that great of a build at the time. Same again, lowest settings, but again frames wise I'm now sitting comfortably above 120 fps, very rarely dropping below 120 fps. So that's pretty much double the frames, and also I halved my ping. Like I said before, I'm sitting at about 30 to 40 ms. So it's a huge difference. Again, your mileage may vary, but that with such a dramatic performance increase, I think that you can understand that it wasn't just, oh, you know, you had a little bit, you had all those YouTube montage clips on there, it was clogging it up, or like stuff like that. It was obvious that some of this obviously helped, and it was more than just voodoo magic. And then on Warzone, I went from the very low settings to having about the same thing, about 45 to 50 frames per second. That game ran horribly, just like on my computer. It didn't like it at all, at least like currently in 2021. And now I'm sitting at about 90 to 100 fps, so again, like doubling it. Ping's the same. My ping overall has been really good. Those are the only 2 games I have tried on the PC, but again, the performance has been quite dramatically improved. Also, I've noticed render times and stuff like that a little bit better. Not quite as much, I think, because I didn't do really anything with my CPU. I didn't do any like tweaking to that. But I do have my rendering set to use some of my GPU resources, so that the overclock, I feel like, and then obviously some of the tweaks and not having so much stuff running in the background, I think has helped that. Obviously I have Streamlabs open, but it is dropping a bit. I don't know, there's not too much in here, I don't think. It's not crazy. A lot of Steam stuff. Steam always goes crazy. I normally close Steam though. I mean, it's not doing much, is it? I don't think so. Performance. Go. We're at 3.89. Nice. It's a 3. Yeah, let's say base speed 3.5. I actually haven't even looked at this page. But yeah, nice. All right. I think that is it for the video. I was wondering how I ended up here. But yeah, if you guys have anything that you'd like me to cover in the future, I will try to either do that myself, or I will find videos for you if I can, because there are maybe a few videos that I have seen that might cover things that you might recommend that I didn't put in this, because again, I think this is pretty relatively speaking concise, and you can follow along quite easily. Again, it's like 13 steps depending on how you want to look at it, and then, you know, if you want to do more, you can from all this and from a lot of these same channels, you can find more resources. But yeah, let me know what you guys you know, have any questions about down below. Of course, if you also go to the comments of a lot of these videos, you're going to find probably the answers to some of your questions too, because I'm sure other people have followed the instructions that the other channels have covered, and then, you know, their creators have answered some of those. Of course, Reddit's your friend. I know some people are like scared to go on there and look up the answers to questions, but Reddit always has a lot of good people helping people out. Don't be afraid to go check them out. I like to do just a Reddit search with a like you know, just a query that's very specific, and normally I can find a couple hits and then find some relevant information about something that I'm looking up, not necessarily specific to this, but just really anything. I know I'm kind of rambling here. In the description, I'm going to try to set up the timeline thing, like I said, or timestamps, so you guys have that. I'll try to I'll also include links to a few different things that maybe aren't here specifically on this doc, but this doc will be first link, so you guys can see everything on here. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And I hope you guys get some good performance. Happy gaming.